Thank you, Jim. And I have to stand here so you can hear me. Okay, here we go. And yeah, I brought my cheat sheet, which is my computer, so I don't have to strain my head here so follow it all. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a recent research project that actually builds on a lot of efforts to build sustainability in Central Texas region that have occurred over the last 20-odd years. If we look back over time, in Central Texas, when I first came here in 1991, if I had a dime for every time someone said the Central Texas region is at a crossroads, something must be done, I'd be really rich right now. We had meetings upon meetings upon meetings and conferences. We need to do something. So this current project with U.S. Housing and Urban Development to develop a Sustainable Places tool and a series of projects to implement that tool, I would say we were successful in getting it because we actually have made important strides in that direction, and this will be taking us to the next level. So let me go ahead and kind of go, some of the things, just some of the important accomplishments, and some of the people in this room were responsible for some of these things. Back when I came into Austin in 1991, we talked about just getting the language of sustainability to be part of our discussion about how we grow as a region. From 1980 to 2000, we went from a population of about 500,000 people to 1.2 million. Projections show actually from 2005 to 2035, we'll go from about 1.4 million to 3.2 million. If we continue to grow in the pattern in which we are growing, we'll have a swath of sprawl that will run up and down the interstate about 5 miles wide from San Antonio to here. And as some people have described it, by 2035, basically, it will be sprawl in all 5 counties. And sprawl is not a particularly sustainable urban form. It doesn't promote social justice, it's not good for the environment, and it doesn't help your economic competitiveness. So beginning in about 1998, there was a discussion with the city of Austin that first thing we might want to do is just start to measure how sustainable we are. That led to the creation of a project called the Central Texas Sustainability Indicator Project. That project consumed my life for about 5 years and then Jim Walker's life for about another decade. It's now back. You can go online and you can actually see regional sustainability indicators broken out for the Central Texas region and also broken out by county. Oops. Oh, I'm moving, but it's not moving. All right, there we go. Thank you. See, it's just like old times. Jim keeps me on target. We're going to go. And that was a good experience. So we started to have the language of sustainability beginning to happen. We engaged thousands of Central Texas stakeholders to arrive at a consensus of what the indicators of sustainability should be that we should pay attention to as it relates to things like food deserts, literacy rates in our schools, crime, and so forth. And that was good, and we've continued to do that. That project now is home in the Center for Sustainable Development. And a lot of the 75 stakeholders that were involved in that process said, well, this is great, but we need to move on. We need to actually provide more guidance to the communities, the 22 cities and the 5 counties that make up the central region. They need more help figuring out how to develop sustainable urban forms. That led to a larger dialogue and the creation of a steering committee and the creation of an organization called Envision Central Texas. And Envision Central Texas's job was a lot like what has happened around the country in Portland Metro 2040 and Sacramento Blueprint and a variety of other places, was basically to engage the Central Texas community, the cities, the counties, the public, private, and nonprofit sectors in a discussion of what the future should be as we add another 2 million people to Central Texas. And so they adopted a preferred growth scenario, a scenario that's not based on an auto-dependent urban form where all the land uses are separated out, but actually based on placemaking principles, creating urban villages where people can live, work, and play in the same space. Where we have a mixing of uses where basically our ability to protect environmental features, to create a more socially just urban form and a more economically competitive urban place is possible. And so what you see here is a picture showing very much in the tradition of perhaps the Sustainable Seattle work that's been done, concentration transit supportive centers as the basis for how we move forward and as we grow as a region. So that said, the Central Texas region every 5 years has to update its regional transportation plan, and that regional transportation plan pulled from that vision of a sustainable Central Texas and developed the Campo project activity center model. And the basic idea was here is basically pulling from that original map I just showed you of land use breakouts where we protect open space and farmlands, concentrate from about 30 to 40% of that 2 million population into 37 activity centers, which are reflected by these orange dots there. Those are locations often where there's a crossroads or an expected improvement in transit lines, or a crossroads in major highways, logical places where communities expect they could create, if you will, an urban village, a place where we could concentrate development, where we might have jobs and housing in balance and not have jobs in one place and people having to commute in 50 miles from their places where they live. So then the question, of course, is why haven't we already done this? If this makes so much sense, why haven't the communities in Central Texas been building these live, work, and play locations? Well, we have an example in our own backyard of perhaps what we're striving towards with the Mueller redevelopment project. You all may be familiar up at Airport. It was the redevelopment of our airport area. And the build-out projection for this is about 10,000 jobs, major employment center with the Dell Children's Hospital. We have the film studios. We have live-work units. We have multifamily housing. We have a quarter of the housing that's affordable housing as a component of the design. This was possible in part, though, because it was done with a master developer, with Catellus Corporation and Prologis. Can you take something like this, a master plan community, a master plan development that's based on sustainability principles, and can you play it out across the Central Texas region and absorb 30 to 40% of that 2 million population? Well, that's actually the challenge that we have as part of the CATS Consortium. So as part of the HUD grant, we brought together the Capital Area Council of Government, the City of Austin, the University of Texas, a variety of other communities and stakeholders, and IBM. And our objective is basically to develop a software tool that will be a learning vehicle so that we can go in and do participatory planning processes with 7 or 8 of these new activity centers that you saw on that map, engage the local public, engage the local development community in a dialogue about how do you create something like Mueller in your place that's context sensitive to your needs, but at the same time is promoting sustainability principles. Can we do things that get kids to spend more time in physical activity? Can we do things to make sure that you can get healthy food access within a reasonable distance from your home? Can we try to set things up in a way when we plan out this community and it builds out that it's possible to live and work in reasonable proximity and not have to have long commutes? Can we create a transit supportive density and a network of streets that function in a way where more and more of the mode of travel is biking and walking and using transit as opposed to the automobile being the primary means to get from point A to point B, to do your live, your work, and play type travel. So this is actually going to be an ongoing project for 3 years, working with IBM. The objective is over that 3-year period is we will be able to create a scenario-based analysis tool based on a series of sustainability metrics. Now there's some software that's like that out there right now. There's software called What If, there's software called Index, there's software called Community Viz. How will this be different? I think part of the reason it'll be different is because we're going to be having a conversation with the communities to get context-specific indicators of sustainability that matter to them. I think part of the problem we've had in a lot of places where we try to promote more sustainable urban forms is oftentimes we get kind of the technocratic, this is the thing you should pay attention to. Our job as part of the consortium, working with all the talent and knowledge that we have at the University of Texas campus and our partners, is to identify metrics that resonate well and connect the dots to the multiple aspects of sustainability. So if a member of the Elgin City Council says, look, in the end, it's the bottom line for us is, can we afford to have a sustainable activity center? Then one of our jobs is to develop the analytic capability within the software for them to see, is there a triple bottom line here that actually involves the fact that this is a less expensive urban form, that it's actually better in terms of the tax burden on your community. It makes you more competitive as a place to attract employers. That's what our task is over the next 3 years, that we're going to be developing the analytic metrics within the software. We're using the Cognos IBM middleware software, which has actually been adopted by thousands of local governments in the United States, use it for a lot of different applications, including operations efficiency. So one of the things we hope is that eventually what we do for Central Texas will then this software be able to be used in other regions within the U.S. So we've got a lot to do in a short period of time, and I'm not going to use up I'm not going to get in trouble with the timekeeper here who's going to be sitting there waving a baton at me. We have a lot of great ideas. This project is just really coming out of the starting blocks right now. You'll be hearing a lot more about it as we actually engage the public, including Austin. Undoubtedly, at least one or maybe two of the demonstration sites where we're developing the software will involve the Austin community, I would imagine. I look forward to seeing you at those future workshops, and I'll turn it now over to Jim.